Welcome to the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Perperis, and joining me is my co-host, Brenna Calvert. Say hi, Brenna.
Hey, everybody.
Here at the Strength and Speed Podcast, we don't have a tagline yet, so we'll kind of work on that later. But this is our first episode. We want to come to you to bring you some details about the OCR community, and so we decided to start a podcast. We're just going to, since this is the first episode, we're just going to talk a little bit about who I am, who Brenna is, and just kind of why we're starting an OCR podcast and what makes us different from some of the other podcasts you're listening to. So we'll kind of just start off with what this podcast is about. It's about obstacle course racing. So the big question would then be, why are we doing another OCR podcast? Because there's some great ones currently out there. Overcome and Run, Obstacle Racing Media has one, The Obstacle Order, Link Endurance, just to name a few. Dirt in Your Skirt, of course, yeah, Margaret Schlachter's. So what we're hoping to do is, one is bring some lessons learned from some other sports. One of the things I always say is obstacle course racing is new, but physical improvement in sports are not new. So a lot of the lessons that we're trying to solve in obstacle course racing have already been solved by other sports. So, over the course of the next months and years, however long this podcast goes on for, we'll continue to pull in athletes from other sports and try to take some of their lessons learned that they figured out and apply them to OCR. Specifically, just off the top of my head, you can pull in some of the lessons learned from climbers or people who do Ninja Warriors for obstacles, or even strongmen, because strongmen have grip strength as one of their obstacles where they do heavy carries. So the second race series, the Spartan gets a lot of coverage, and now Tough Mudder's been getting a lot of coverage with their coverage on CBS. So looking to highlight some of the smaller ones, some of the ones people typically don't talk about, Indian Mud Run, Battlegrounds, obviously Conquer the Gauntlet, and
I was going to say cough, Conquer the Gauntlet.
So definitely want to talk about some of those and give them some love, because this industry is bigger than one or two companies. Other than that, after appearing on a couple of podcasts from other hosts, I wanted to get into some topics that we only kind of touched on those. So looking to delve into topics a little more deeply here and kind of explore them fully rather than just touching and going. And finally, probably will be the best reason, is a way to give back to OCR. I like talking about OCR. I like spreading the word of how much fun the sport is and how great it is, the people in it. It's a sense of community that you kind of never see anywhere else. I've done a lot of different sports, but this one is definitely unique. So looking to give back to everyone, and I personally started running through all my OCR podcasts within a week, so I needed more content.
Yeah, I'm kind of touching base with Evan on all that. He's going to be your content guy and guru, kind of the brains, but I want to be a part of this and kind of learn from it and get to experience the smaller side of things in a way. I mean, Evan's known through the community, and I'm slowly being known, and most of you know who I am at this point, but, I'm not like Margaret out there in the media source and the other gurus that everybody goes to for media. So I'm just kind of a different take on things, learning myself, and getting it out there to a smaller tight community, but like you said, highlighting the smaller race series, and even guys like Savage Race too. They're a big series, but you don't hear about them too much necessarily other than what they put out there. So I'm just excited to bring this to the community for everybody and be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you, Evan, for bringing me on.
Definitely a good point about Savage Race. I actually still haven't done one of those, but I got one lined up for April.
Oh my gosh!
Does that
mean Georgia?
Yeah. I may have a bachelor party that weekend, so it's still on the fence if I'm going, but hopefully I'll be there.
Well, I'll be at that one, so add it to your calendar.
And I feel like people know you more than they know me, but that's all right. You're a little more social in person.
Yeah, when we see who what we're known for, I guess we'll see who knows who more.
Yeah, obviously I put out a lot of articles and stuff online, so I think my name gets out there a lot. I'm not sure many people know who I am by face. I don't know.
There you go. But I'm kind of the opposite. I'm more they know my face and stuff, but that's about it. My voice, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so since this is just an intro episode, we just kind of wanted to touch base and tell you a little about who we are. If you're tuning in and you're wondering who these two people are that are hosting a podcast, we'll just kind of run through that, some of our background. So let's start off with you, Brenna. Let's talk about, what sports did you play growing up, and kind of take me through some high school years and post-high school and kind of how you ended up in OCR.
Oh, man. So I'd say taking me back, but I'm actually one of the younger ones, I guess. So it's not too bad. But, yeah, so I'm 29, and I grew up playing – I was that little girl that played every sport, YMCA, soccer season, basketball season, softball, you name it, gymnastics. I tried everything. I was in a little town that was known for basically – all the kids played outdoor sports, and then you grew up into high school sports, and we had a great training facility that funneled like Olympic athletes for swimming and diving. So I was kind of bred into being an athlete. Fell in love with basketball, and as a little tall kid, lanky, so basketball came naturally, and just everybody was like, yep, that's perfect for you, sounds good. And I, stuck with that through middle school, junior high. It was the first sport you could play in school, I think, when I was in like 7th grade. Did that. And then high school, when sports actually kind of start to matter for kids. Freshman year, of course, started playing basketball, but it was really competitive, the girls' basketball team. So I was kind of like the freshman squad. I didn't really make JV or varsity or anything cool. So I still loved it, but I went out and started doing track in the off season, just to keep busy. And that's when it happened. So I decided and apparently knew that I liked running. And so I ran high school track. I was varsity track as a freshman and ran, the 400 and the 200. Went to regionals for the 400 and like the 4x400 relay team. We had pretty awesome track and cross country, really.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was kind of funny because I hated distance. Like when I had to run the mile in basketball, I thought, oh my gosh, a mile? Are you kidding me? That's just terrible. Who would ever want to run a mile? And in track, like 400 meters, one lap around the track. Oh, that was all I was going to do because I was sprinting that and it almost killed me every time. So why would I want to do it 4 times? And then I laugh now because here I am. Like, wow, definitely looking back and running a mile, that's like piece of cake now. Not as much into the endurance as you are, but I can definitely do more than a mile. So, yeah. But after high school, that's been 10 years, I think. When did I graduate? I actually graduated in 2004. Oh, man, that's been 12 years since I graduated high school. And I graduated high school a year early, and I graduated when I was 16. And I decided not to pursue like a track athlete scholarship, anything in college. I don't know. Looking back now, I'm kind of kicking myself. But at that point, I didn't want to have no life. I wanted to go to college and have fun and just kind of live the college life. And I didn't want to be a student athlete and not get out much.
Yeah, so I think some people forget about that. When you're competing at a high level in sports or, you have a scholarship, you really need to sacrifice some stuff. You can't be going out and partying every weekend if you want to run well.
Exactly. And so. I was young and I was, like I said, I was 16, so I decided not to do that, which now I'm like, okay, whoops, maybe I should have. But, so that ended my, high school athletics was basically when I was 16, 12 years ago. Yeah. And I didn't really do much until OCR. So that's my athletic background.
So I will say that some of the people who end up doing, a lot of racing in high school and college end up burning out, and they finish those 8 years of nonstop competitive running, and they were just like, and I'm done. They hit their peak, and it burns them out. They no longer want to run.
I see that, but then I'm like, it was kind of cool because as soon as I finished high school, I was like, man, I wish I could be a pro athlete, and a lot of friends of mine went to college and, continued their sports careers and were awesome in college. And I was like, oh, man, yep, I'll never be a pro athlete. Huh.
Yeah, things change.
So what'd you do in school?
So I was pretty unathletic growing up. Have you ever seen the show The Goldbergs on ABC?
Yeah.
So that little kid Adam is like my fucking clone. Oh, also there's some cursing in this, in case you're listening, and there will be. Yeah. Anyway, that kid is literally like my clone. It's scary. He looked like me growing up. He acts like me. My sister will watch the episodes and call me and be like, "Hey, Adam just gave this girl a Green Lantern ring." That's like 100%
okay. So those that don't know the Goldbergs, explain what this character is.
Oh, so he's just like, he's very nerdy. I mean, he likes comic books. He likes, the one big difference between me and him is he like videotapes everything. I never had a video camera, but just the typical, he'd grown up in the '80s, so he likes Voltron and He-Man and G.I. Joe and all that
He-Man,
stuff.
She-Ra, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was kind of me growing up. In high school, I got into a little bit. I did play sports growing up. I played some soccer. I played baseball. I was terrible. In high school, I ran cross country for a little bit, but it was like get out of marching band. I didn't actually like running. Like if you would have lined us up in high school, like they give like the superlative awards at the end of high school, like most likely to whatever, I would not be listed as an athlete, not even close.
Oh man.
And then I got in, but I always did some sports, so I wasn't completely terrible, I guess. But I was big into Boy Scouts, and then from that I ended up going to college at Johns Hopkins and got into a program called Reserve Officer Training Corps. So it's basically the Army, or like Army training type stuff. And in order to be good at that, you had to be physically fit. So I was like, all right, well, if I want to be good at this, I better start doing fitness stuff. And it was like a slippery slope. Like I just fell into it, and like it was like a runaway train. I went from I think I did my first quote unquote race. It was like a 10-miler junior year, and then senior year I ran a marathon, and then by the end of senior year I'd done a 40-mile race, and by the summer of senior year I did an Ironman.
See, that's the difference. What I'm saying is, you're like, yeah, I did my first race and it was 10 miles. I mean, I'm talking about like running a mile.
Yeah. So for freshman, sophomore, junior, again, I did running, but it was I wouldn't call it serious running. And I was never following a training plan or anything, so.
Well, then let's touch from that, talking about, we'll switch to you. I'll ask you so that was your background. What got you into OCR officially? Because now, I mean, you're full on OCR athlete.
Yeah, I'm 100% committed to OCR now. I love it. So I was, like I said, I wasn't very good at anything, so I just kind of hopped back and forth between sports. So I would do post senior year, I would do like marathon running for a little while and like train for that. And then I would be like, well, that was fun, but I'm tired of running, so I'm just going to switch to strength training. So I would do that for a while, and I'd like practice powerlifting. And so I just kind of hopped back and forth between all these different sports, triathlon. And over the years, like you do enough volume spread out and consistently, you actually start getting good at some point. And it happened all of a sudden, like I didn't even realize what was going on. Like at one point I ended up doing a race and like my first competitive warrior dash, and like I won, and I was like, what the hell just happened? Like I'm not supposed to win races. Like I've never won a race. This is ridiculous.
I don't race.
Yeah, the bouncing back and forth between sports just kind of naturally led me to OCR, and I kind of like fell face first into it. And one of my friends had been telling me to do it for years, and I just I didn't like the slogan, like some of the marketing they had. They were like toughest mudders. It was like the toughest race ever, and I was like, well, it's like 12 miles, so I mean it's challenging. But if you're a serious endurance athlete, like 12 miles is not a
right. There's other.
Yeah, it's not the hardest race ever. So I just kind of like fell face first into it, and at the time I'd made some friends over at Under Armour through this weird internship program I did over there, and they were sponsoring World's Toughest Mudder, so I ended up doing World's Toughest Mudder in 2014. It was like my 5th obstacle race, and I'd never done a tough mudder before, and I finished like 13th with 75 miles, and I was like, again, the surprise, I was like, oh my god, I've never done that well in anything. And then after like So starting in 2015, like, I stopped doing everything else but obstacle course racing, and I completely changed my training. So,
Nice.
how did you end up falling into the obstacle course racing world?
Oh man. So, like I said, my background after school, high school, was basically restaurants. So I've done restaurant work for 13 years, like server, hostess, bartender, manager, you name it, hotels, restaurants, bars, everything. And I was living, I don't know, I guess throughout that, I'd run a couple miles here and there, and I was just that, like, average. I'd have, like, a week or two where I felt really motivated, and I'd work out hardcore for 2 weeks, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that was fun, and then kind of fall off. Or I did the whole phase of P90X and Insanity, where I'd go for a month, just real, intense, and then just kind of like, okay, never mind, that was fun again. But I just have always been the natural athlete that just has fun doing things. So yeah. I was living in Virginia and moved to be with my family in Atlanta. And this was, like, I guess 4 years ago, I think. Coming up this spring will probably be about 4 years. And I just moved there, and it was, like, March. And my older brother, again, athletic in high school and stuff, but didn't really do anything outside of that, messaged me. And he's like, hey, do you want to do this event with me? And I had no idea what he was talking about. And he goes, just Google or YouTube this. And it was Spartan Race. So I YouTube Spartan Race, and, of course, all these videos come up, and it's the fog, and they're like crawling through everything, and the loud music and the deep voice just like motivating you and giving you chill bumps before you knew anything else. So
what year was this?
I think this was 4 years ago, so like 2013.
Okay, so yeah, Spartan Race had been around for at least a couple of years at that point.
Yeah, so it had been, but I had no idea what this was. I mean, I wasn't even told to look up like obstacle course racing. My brother just said, look up Spartan Race, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm like, all right, awesome, got goosebumps. Yeah, I can do that. That's totally what I can do. So this was Atlanta Spartan Sprint in 2013. Went and did that with my brother, and it was awesome. I remember, like, he fell off one of the balance obstacles, like the little stumps, and it was just kind of stupid. He stepped up on it and then wasn't ready to go, so he got down, and they told him that he failed and had to do burpees. I just remember he was so pissed. He's like, I didn't even, like, give it a full effort. So I kept on going, and then I just remember I was like, I beat my brother in our first little, like, Spartan race. And, of course, go home, brag to my sister and tell her that, and telling everybody, like, I beat my brother. Well, I mean, I hadn't even, that was one sprint, and I think what they say, drank the Kool-Aid, like, real quick, it hit me. And so I guess when you get out to the parking lot of the races, you have all these flyers on your cars, and I think we had, like, 4 other events on my car. So went home and did what the first person does, is you Google OCR, and signed up for, I think, maybe Warrior Dash was the second thing we did. Is Warrior Dash the one with the fuzzy helmets?
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the second race I did. And did that one with him for fun. And then after that, I basically, I don't know how I met a group of people, but somehow got involved with Gormers, which, for those that don't know, like, every city has their little, local race chapter or social media group. And Gormer is the Georgia Obstacle Race and Mud Runners. So I got involved with them, and basically from there, it was history. I'm kind of just, started racing with teams and fun races. Yeah. I did that for, a year, where I kind of did I did a Tough Mudder in Atlanta. I ran Savage Race, Warrior Dash, Spartan Race. I feel like there's another one, just tried. Maybe it was Rugged Maniac or something like that. And then a friend all of a sudden said, hey, there's this new race series coming to Atlanta, and they were going to South Carolina is where it was. And it was Battle Frog. And they were like, you should compete elite, because I think you'd be great. And I was just like, you're crazy. I mean, have you seen those girls up there? Like, at the start line, they're all muscular and ripped and, wearing no clothes. And this is just, that's not me. I'm not going to stand a chance with those girls. And lo and behold, I traveled up to South Carolina, met my friend, ran the race, and I actually won the first race I ever ran elite right there at Battle Frog.
Boom, crushed it.
Yeah, it was a crazy surprise. I had no idea. And then that was literally history from there. And that was 3 years ago. And now it's weird to think back to what was before OCR. I'm literally thinking I'm so involved in it now not just racing, but I'm like, I don't remember life before obstacle course racing.
Yeah, it changes you, and I know, I spend most of my free time is all obstacle course racing focused, whether it be writing articles or training or just wasting my time surfing Facebook and seeing what other people are up to.
Free time, though, I mean, we've dabbled in how we got into OCR and kind of, I mean, I guess touch base, what all, because not only are you doing this podcast now, but please tell us and everybody listening, what do you do for OCR? Because, I mean, I could list like 5 things, and that's probably doesn't even touch base on what you do. What do you do for OCR? And then you actually, I mean, you have a job, like, I mean,
right.
and have a family, right?
Yep. Yeah. So for obstacle course racing, I write a lot for Mud Run Guide, so you may recognize my name from that. I also recently started writing for a website called Complete Human Performance that is like kind of the leaders in hybrid athlete training, it's called. You know, like people who essentially lift weights and run. So I started writing for them this year. I've written articles for Endurance News, which is Hammer Nutrition's magazine. I've written articles for Milo, which is a strongman-focused magazine. And I've written one for Metcon magazine. I also have a website called Strength and Speed. Obviously, you should probably know that since you're listening to the Strength and Speed podcast. That also is kind of like hybrid athlete training, where it basically has a list of 10 criteria for endurance training and 10 criteria for strength training. The goal is to kind of get to level 20. So the idea is you set the goals, and that way you push yourself. So I write for them. I also handle a lot of the backside support for that. I wrote a book called Strength and Speed's Guide to Elite Obstacle Course Racing. And then other than that, I race on the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team. So I'm I usually take most of the winter off, and I usually start racing in around April, and I'll race for 6, 7, 8 months in a row. Build for 2 to 3 weeks, taper for a week, race, and then repeat. Let's see what else. Family. I'm married to my lovely wife, Amy. We have one daughter, which if you are ever at one of the races I'm at, you'll see us. We always take the family with us, so it's always a family event.
I love that. I love the family atmosphere, and your wife, awesome, and that little precious angel, so cute.
Yeah, she melts my heart. This is my profile picture is currently me looking at her on mile 9, or it must be mile 85 of World's Toughest Mudder. And,
when she was there on the sideline, right?
Yeah, and it's again, for me, it's just such a great picture, and it melts my heart to look at it. And then besides that, currently still active duty in the military, so I do that full time, obviously. And that is obviously contributed to some of my obstacle course racing success, building mental toughness, which we'll talk about in a couple later episodes. I got got a good guest lined up for that. And
teaser.
Yeah. Actually, I still haven't confirmed it with him, but I'm pretty sure he'll come on. So maybe getting ahead of myself there.
We'll put someone there regardless. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. And I know you're doing the Green Beret Challenge coming up. Is it next week, or is that it's February? When is that?
Oh, yeah, that's in 3 weeks, February 18th. Yeah.
Okay.
So, military.
So this will be good. This will be a good setup for that.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, pretty much, wow, full-time athlete, full-time OCR media and guru and writer, and then husband, dad, military. I mean, that's almost in reverse order of importance and full-timeness. So that's crazy. I feel like I do nothing compared to that.
And it's just one of those things where I feel like I don't know, I like doing productive stuff. At some point I stopped watching. Yeah, I spent a couple of years deployed for the military, and we used to just deploy and watch so many movies. I don't know. At the time it was fun, but I look back and I'm like, what was I doing? Just watching movies. You watch movies all day during your downtime, kind of like escapism. But I don't know. I just got tired of it, and I like feeling productive. So what most people would consider work, it's to me I enjoy it, and I like giving back, especially to the OCR. Well, I mean, we'll hit this 100 times, but it's just such a good crowd of people. So
exactly, it's just and being part of it when it's new and young. That's the best part, and that's what. So I mean, what I kind of do. So some people know me, and I mean, I'm a full-time athlete, Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team athlete. So do that. But when I started this, I basically would race on the weekends and train. And again, no like professional training background. I just kind of did my own thing. But I was a restaurant waitress. So again, 13 years restaurant industry. I think when I was in Atlanta and started racing, I was waiting tables during the day and cocktail waitressing at a club at night, and then also training and racing on the weekends. So it was crazy, but that's what I did. And I started slowly, actually it was pretty quick, getting more and more into the racing where that's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to go into restaurants anymore, and I was tired of waiting on people. I wanted to actually be active and motivate people. And, like through racing, I just was meeting really awesome people and what they were doing with their lives. And I wanted to be a part of the sport because I got really, I think a lot of people know me originally just from Battle Frog, to be honest. I mean, I was really
that's where
involved.
I first heard your name.
Yeah, I was really involved with Battle Frog back in the beginning, and I knew Garfield kind of threw me in, and that's how I met everybody and made connections, was just through all the original people that started with that. And so I just got involved with like the behind the scenes thing too. So outside of racing, I got involved with the crew and the family side of the crew. And so I continued working restaurants for about a year doing it. And then this summer, or I guess last year, what year are we now? So last year, 2016, I was living in Ohio in the beginning of the year and left Ohio and wanted to return home to Texas. And along my return, this is right basically when I was asked to join Conquer the Gauntlet team of athletes. And I kind of didn't know what Conquer the Gauntlet was, like many people at the time. And I said, okay, sure, I'll join the team. I felt kind of weird. I'd never raced one of their races, and the schedule was just obscure locations to me. I mean, like middle of America that just I wasn't ever going to see myself going. So my race schedule was already set, and I remember telling David, I was like, I don't know if I'll make it to the races, but, I'd gladly promote and get y'all's name out there. Well, I went to Dallas and fell in love with Conquer the Gauntlet. And basically from there, I kind of tagged along and forced myself on the Conquer the Gauntlet family. And whether they liked it or not, I started building with them. So I basically, like, when I moved from Ohio, I stopped working in restaurants because I quit my job there. And then I kind of joined the crew on the road, and I'm now, like, build crew person. And I basically don't want to go back to restaurants ever, so I'm a pro athlete racer, and I'm full-time build crew for Conquer the Gauntlet this season. And I, because of that, made a connection where I got to work in Canada and help build OCR World Championships. We actually built an obstacle there and pitched in kind of around the mountain for the course.
That was Stairway to Heaven, for those of you who are not tracking. It's it's called the Devil Steps. It looks like a big V, and it's got steps. You essentially go up and down the underside of a set of stairs.
Yeah. If you're in Canada, it was on the top of the mountain, and all of you have pictures from it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then through that connection, I got to now build, I went with Terrain Race, so I'm actually working with them too in traveling and building. So, and then I'm also known for my, like, live videos and just being goofy on Facebook and social media. So I'm now a pro athlete and a social media goofball and builder for OCR. So, and that's why I'm doing this podcast, because I just want to see how many things I can do in OCR and never leave this community of people in sport and just be here forever. Y'all are stuck with me.
Whether you like it or not, yeah.
Pretty much. I think most of y'all like it, but, we'll see through this podcast.
Yeah. So, kind of touching on some of the other stuff I'm known for. My big event last year was OCR America, so I did 7 venues in 7 days, basically running, multi-lapping each venue. So I ended up finishing like 161 miles over 7 days. It's kind of like my ultra OCR feat for the year. So that's kind of where I specialize. I specialize in the really long stuff. So Battle Frog Extreme I used to love. So there's those 8-hour ones. I love World's Toughest Mudder, 24-hour long races. So you'll definitely see me at some Toughest Mudder events this year, doing the 8-hour. And you'll definitely see me at World's Toughest again, 24-hour race. That's where I do the best. Then I also like and enjoy Conquer the Gauntlet and kind of short course with really hard obstacles. So I like obstacle course racing where you have to do all the obstacles. I think that's the way it should be. I love Spartan, and I appreciate everything they've done for this industry. It's huge. I'm not even sure we'd be an industry without kind of them leading the way. But I also think that
I agree with that. Everybody does.
I think mandatory obstacle completion is a good thing for the elites. For open, we can change the rules a little bit. But for if you're gonna
burpees and the spear throw for open waivers all day. But
yeah, no, I agree. To me, it's just weird. It's like it would be like you're in the steeplechase in the Olympics, and a guy doesn't get over the steeple and does like 15 jumping jacks and keeps running. It'd be like, wait, what the hell just happened? It would just be really bizarre.
Well, I'm sure we'll have like a whole podcast dedicated to just that. So touching base off what you're known for and what you did last season, endurance, yes, World's Toughest Mudder, and the fact that you did 100 plus miles in a week, and then again, World's Toughest, you did like 80 in 24 hours. I mean, it's just insane.
I did 90. I did 90, finished 8th, which I was super happy with.
Yeah, that's so impressive. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So this season, are you focusing again? Is your focus going to be major endurance? And again, with the ending the season, World's Toughest Mudder, do you have any other crazy 24-hour events or special plans for what you've got going on this year?
So I think it'll be mostly World Toughest Mudders. Big peak for the year will be World's Toughest again. That's what I always end my season in, just because I literally put it all out there when I go to that event, and I will destroy my body to move up one placement. People will be like, oh, I decided to call it quits so I didn't hurt myself, and I go into that event and I'm like, I'll break myself, I'll destroy myself to make it across that line.
It's your time to finish and be dead afterwards.
Even if it's people don't even if it's one spot higher or one more lap, I don't care. I want that extra, just that. I want to leave that event and be like, and I'm done for the year. That's it.
And that's what this does. I mean, you're not competing it's with yourself. That's a competition to yourself and a goal. It's like, okay, 91 miles. That's one more. It's gotta get it.
So that's the big one. Obviously, you'll see me at a bunch of Conquer the Gauntlet events this year. I'll be focused mostly on kind of ultra endurance. With OCR America, I felt like I was in phenomenal shape going into that, and then that obviously takes a toll on my body, and it took me a long time to recover from that. And actually going into World's Toughest, I did not think I was doing as well. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go out there, have a good time, enjoy myself, and I ended up doing really well. I was feeling good on the course. The weather was very nice, so I'm gonna try to kind of focus on World's Toughest this year and see how high I can reach, both against other competitors, but also against myself. And I do have some crazy endurance stuff planned for 2018, similar OCR America-like. So we'll that's still a secret. I haven't actually told anyone. So we'll keep that close hold until we'll keep that close hold until the end of the year. I want to make sure I can finish the season strong, 2017, and then we'll move into that for 2018.
See, if you're tuning in, that's why y'all need to listen to us, because, we're like the small guys, but between Evan and I, we've got some insider info, we can divulge and give little teasers of some good season secrets here.
We do. What's funny is I hold back a lot on social media, because I'm like, oh, I want to share this right now. The US OCR thing, we knew about that ahead of time.
Yeah, that was, I don't want to
I want to tell people so bad.
Well, yeah, so so that's your season lineup. Neat. So, man, this is a crazy year for me. Last year was transition year for me, just moving and relocating and finding my new, came back from my fractured leg and building back up and getting back to where I wanted to be physically, mentally. I really wanted to quit OCR at the beginning of last year between physical athlete depression.
Talk about how you hurt your leg.
Oh yeah, so I guess it was last year's 2016, end of 2015, in August at the Battle Frog in Cincinnati. I was not bragging, but I was where I needed to be in the season. I was peak. I'd just been, I think I just won Savage Chicago, and I won Savage, Ohio earlier. I had filmed for Broken Skull Challenge in the summer. I mean, I was like on top of my game, feeling good, feeling strong. And then, of course, King's Domain, Battle Frog Cincinnati. Man, that venue, it eats people alive. I mean, obviously, that's where the championships was held for 2 years. So, gorgeous venue. Anyway.
Which is closed already, King's Domain.
Yeah. So sad. But I never got to have redemption, but I kind of decided I didn't need it. So I was running down a hill, basically, and fell and fractured my tibia and messed up my knee. Didn't need surgery on the knee, but it's kind of like one of those, left it the way it was so I can do what I do for a little bit longer, but, I got to be careful. But the worst part was the fracture in my leg because there really wasn't much I could do for it other than take me out at peak season, and I missed championships, and it was bad. So I basically... For those of you
who've never run King's Domain, where Battle Frog Cincinnati was, it was OCR World Championships and home of Mud, Guts, and Glory. The terrain's very technical. I mean, it's rough, and if you're going for the win and you're putting it all in on the line, you can easily screw yourself up there. So
yeah, and the sad part was it wasn't even an obstacle. I was just like feeling my groove on the downhill, and boom. Yeah. That's what I'm known for. People say I need bubble wrap because I fall easily. So yeah, I fell and broke my leg. But it was the first injury, again, from high school athletics and on, I never really sustained a major injury that took me out of competition. So I kind of went through those, like, athlete issues and, depression. I guess, I could have kept training my upper body and my core, but I basically forgot that I had other muscles to train and got depressed. And it was winter in Ohio, and I hate the cold. I'm a Texan. I don't do well in the cold. And, like, personal relationship, everything. So I went through it all. I gained, I think, 30 pounds maybe. Started, again, this was, like, coming into January, February. I'm recovering. They tell me, I can start training again slowly, whatever. At this point, I decided I was leaving Ohio. Needed to just get mentally my life back together and physically. And I went and did the Dirty Double weekend in UK, Rat Race weekend. Went and did that with the team Sisu Like a Girl. That I was like picked for, voted for that, and went over there, and that was basically a 40-mile, as a double lap. So 40 miles, 400 obstacles that I had never dabbled in endurance, and this is why I was going to do it. Was like, try something new out of my comfort zone. And it was with crazies like Amy Booth and Christy McBride, who are known for endurance, and that's what they do. And so
I think Amy's finished Death Race, hasn't she?
Oh, yeah. Like, I think several times she's finished Death Race. And then,
Christy McBride, world's toughest mudder competitor.
Top 5, and, just crazy girls. But awesome. And so I went and did this, crazy endurance thing that you know all about. But to me, it's like, I'm a nut. I couldn't believe I did it. Much less, this was the first thing I did after, like, my leg injury. So I did that and thought I was going to die, but loved it. And as soon as I finished that, I was like, okay, I'm definitely doing World's Toughest Mudder. And that was on my goals. And because I've sat by for, like, 2 years now and watched it, I stay up for 24 hours and kind of freak out and stare at the computer like all the nut jobs and just wish I was there with you crazy people. So I got back into it, and basically, again, like I said, I wanted to quit. I was 30 pounds overweight. I really just wasn't. I went to that event because I'd been picked prior to my injury. Like, I kind of was already committed. It was a team thing. I wasn't going to let the team down. That's just who I am. So I was like, you know what? Suck it up. Go do it. Tough it out. But when I got back, I just thought, okay, I don't want to do OCR anymore. I'm over it. I'm miserable. I'm out of shape. Don't want to do it. And then I went to Conquer the Gauntlet in Dallas, and I met, I think actually, you and I had already met, but like I met most of the team there, Christina HB, and I kind of.
The first time I met you in person.
Really? Yeah. Oh, see, wow. Okay, so.
I think we talked online because I used one of your pictures from my book. So I needed permission from that. And I want to say we talked about Shirtgate at some point.
Yeah. Anywho, that's actually coming up in a minute. So, yeah, I guess Conquer the Gauntlet is what really changed everything for me. That race was meeting you, meeting Christina, David, Steve. And I was like, holy crap. And I changed my season. Basically, I changed everything I had planned. Basically decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to train again. And I went to every Conquer the Gauntlet race after that. So, I mean, it just kind of like changed my career in OCR racing. And then it led me to, I actually kind of like found my groove again this season, or last season. You know, I started, I finished with a couple wins for Conquer the Gauntlet, and I won, I don't know, what did I do?
You were getting faster every race. You were starting to worry me.
I was gunning for you guys. I'm coming after you.
That last Conquer the Gauntlet race, like I looked back and you were like behind me. I was like, what the hell's going on? I had to hold you off before the end of the line. So yeah, you beat the Little Rock one. Yeah, you finished 4th overall.
Yeah. So I mean, I finally was finding my groove, but it's funny because this season has basically like my schedule for the season is completely different because now I've committed to full-time build crew, which means I will no longer be racing Conquer the Gauntlet races that I build, which is kind of shocking because I was just getting to the point where, like, I was just going to sweep and I wanted to just win the whole season. Like, that was going to be my plan.
Yeah.
I'm seeing my passion now because now I like to build so much that I want to do that. And, you know, it's totally different. I get to, like, put on an event for everybody and see them all excited about doing it. And I get to be like, oh, my gosh, I was a part of that and a part of the family that brings this to thousands of people. So it's kind of limited my schedule. So I really don't have, like, my schedule has, like, 1 weekend each month that I can race. And it's very strategic as to which races I can do. But this season I'm kind of focusing in, like, a bunch of crazy stuff, which I know as athletes that plan, you know, for training, you know, you want to focus, like you're focusing on your endurance and then others focus just on short course. But I'm a nut job and I'm just like one of those crazy fly by the seat of my pants athletes and do things that others don't like to do, whatever. I don't know. So I'm starting my season actually next weekend with Spartan Race, which is crazy because I haven't competed in a Spartan race since Shirtgate.
Would you like to fill everyone in on what Shirtgate was, abbreviated?
Oh, come on. Well, if you don't know what Shirtgate is, a lot of people, I'm kind of infamous from that.
That's actually the first time I heard your name. And they don't. I think it's not a big deal anymore because they don't do that anymore. Anyway, explain what it is before.
So, Spartan Atlanta Sprint 2 years ago now, I think it was. Basically, I got 3rd place. And I, again, was deep into Battle Frog. My boyfriend at the time worked for Battle Frog. I was all about Battle Frog. My family was there. We were all wearing Battle Frog shirts. I got on the podium in 3rd place with a Battle Frog shirt on. Oh my gosh, heaven forbid. And I was told to take off my shirt. I wasn't allowed to wear it on the podium. It created an uproar. Little did I know, like hours later, it had gone viral. I don't know. People were like saying I broke the internet. People on the cruise that weekend heard about it. It was the biggest to-do, and it was so silly. Yeah. I got like interviewed, and there were reviews and articles, and like Spartan headquarters was calling me, and you know, saying that it was crazy. Yeah. So it went on for a while. There's like hashtag Shirtgate, and I was like given a shirt that said Shirtgate on it. And then it was funny because I think right after that, Ryan Atkins, who was on the Battle Frog Pro team, like won a Spartan race. And they, like, pixelated his shirt. Yeah, it's like Shirtgate 2.
Yeah. But, I mean, since then, I mean, Spartan has stopped doing that. I mean, I just watched some of the NBC coverage, and, you know, there's all sorts of other logos all over the place, and they don't care.
So it was kind of funny. Like,
And then Battle Frog eventually folded, you know, because that's a whole other issue. But, yeah, overspending is kind of the short answer there. But
anyway, so Shirtgate. So I started my season as Spartan Race. Next weekend I'm running the Super and Sprint in Southern California, which is crazy. I'm so nervous and freaking out because, again, Spartan, Spear Throw, I'm like 1 for 9 or something on that.
I'm the worst at that. I don't think I'm trying to recall if I ever even hit one. It's bad.
Yeah. So
I don't race Spartans that often.
I'm sure. I mean, everybody's like, just, if you hate burpees, don't fail an obstacle. And my whole thing is, well, when you get one chance and you slip off, I mean, oops, there's burpees right there. So, anyways, I'm trying to, it's just going to be a fun race, you know, judge how I start the season. But from there, I basically, I do Green Beret Challenge here in February, which is awesome. That's out at YO Ranch here in Texas, which is the venue for Conquer the Gauntlet, Central Texas. And then now the U.S. Championship event is going to be there, so it's really cool. I'm excited to go out to that venue.
And I think the Green Beret Challenge is doing 2 events out there this year.
Yeah, they actually just announced today, on my birthday, June 30th, another 24-hour event behind enemy lines.
Ah, cool.
So that's what I was going to say. My schedule, I'm kind of like, so I do, my biggest thing coming up first will be like random Savage Race, Green Beret Challenge, this and that. And then I'm doing Toughest Philly because this girl is finally full-time committed to World's Toughest Mudder in 2017. It's happening.
I'll be at Toughest Philly.
Yeah, that's what, I'm so excited, but I guess you could say I'm kind of focusing on the endurance events in a way because I'm building and can't run so many short courses. So I'll be doing Toughest Philly, and then I'll also do the Green Beret Challenge 24-hour event in June. And then I'm traveling to Australia and doing the True Grit 24-hour event with the Sisu Like a Girl team.
Are you really? I didn't know that. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing that one this year.
Oh my gosh, come, because we're taking a team, so the team was picked and it's all new girls, and then we're going to take a team of veterans because it's relay style, so we're basically going to run together, the team of veterans. We'll get to run with the team of noobs, so we can kind of be with them the whole time, relay style. So that's another 24-hour event, and then, I guess championship season and everything, and finishing with World's Toughest. So my season is pretty crazy and different from what I've ever done.
Yeah,
so I'll be, not only are we doing podcasts, I'm just going to be bugging you and picking your brain all the time.
Yeah.
Lucky.
I got a lot of good info for, obviously, ultra-ocr. It's a slightly different sport. Some of the things you do in short course, they just don't transfer well. Little things like gloves. I never wear gloves for short course, ever. But for ultra-ocr, I always have gloves on, at least for part of the race, if not all of it.
See, and that's why I'm excited to do this because it's all things that I don't like to do and I'm not used to doing. I hate extra stuff on me, right? Yeah. Everybody knows me. Brenna runs around in her sports bra and tiny shorts all the time because I don't like gloves and I don't like water packs and extra clothes. And so I'm all right, you know what? Not only do I run short distances, I'm going to triple, quadruple my distance and then add stuff on me. Woohoo! But that's what this is all about to me. And again, that's what, this podcast, bringing other people, I think people that, Conquer the Gauntlet is a whole new group of community and athletes to me. I never met half these people, and I think this podcast will bring that group of people into something new also. A lot of them don't run Spartan races and the bigger name races and don't feel comfortable. And so I think through this podcast between you and me, them feeling comfortable around us from Conquer the Gauntlet will kind of branch them into other avenues of OCR and just bring the community closer together.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I think we have some good guests that I'm still finalizing lined up. We'll be doing. I'd like to say we're going to do weekly podcasts, but I know that's not true because once race season kicks off, the amount of free time I have gets drastically reduced. So, I think we're shooting for twice a month. Sometimes I think we'll come out with weekly new episodes. Sometimes it'll be twice a month, but I think we'll always be there on some level.
We'll just be flexible, We're the cool kids. We're flexible.
And some of the episodes will just be me and Brenna running our mouth and answering some questions from people who send us questions, either audio files or posts. Other times we'll be interviewing, race directors or other athletes, specifically within OCR. And then, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, the one thing I really like to do is bring in some outside people who are not OCR, and they're not just runners. Most OCR podcasts will bring in runners and they'd share their advice because our OCR is largely running based. But I think having some other athletes in from other sports can help fix some of the problems we face. Adventure racing, you can draw a lot of lessons from adventure racing into team ultra OCR because it's basically the same thing. It's very similar. So things like that is kind of where we're looking to move the podcast forward.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I think we ran our mouth enough for today. I know I was going to jump in early. I know, Brenna, you were talking about some injury you had earlier. For those of you who like reading articles online, I know Amelia Boone wrote several great pieces on her injury and her recovery process. If you haven't read those, I would head over to her page and read them. Just kind of how your identity is tied to racing, and some of us take OCR more serious than others. I would argue I probably take it too seriously. But I mean, that's what I love. So
it's our life. It's what we have become, and it's become.
So yeah, she wrote a great article. I would check that out. I wrote one on injury. Basically, on Mud Run Guide a couple months later. I think that's pretty good, obviously, because I wrote it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written it if I didn't think it was good.
We're allowed to toot our own horns every once in a while on here. I mean, come on, it is yours and me co-hosting. We can say what we want about ourselves.
So, kind of with that, we'll just kind of, if you want to give a shout out to any sponsors or any events coming up, and then I'll do the same, and we'll call it a day.
Oh yeah, I mean, awesome, everybody. This has been great first episode. I can't wait to do more. And again, look for me. Wish me luck this weekend at Spartan and Conquer the Gauntlet sponsors. I'm excited about our new mud gear, and Atomic climbing holds have been kicking my butt. And then myself, I'm a Legend Born ambassador, so I'm always shouting out to them. Awesome jerseys. So I'll be racing in that this weekend. But yeah, can't wait for the next episode. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff. I'm going to give a shout out to obviously Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team, who have given me more than I can ask for. And then I'm a Hammer Nutrition sponsored athlete, so if anyone's looking to order some endurance supplements or whey protein, you can hit them up, hammernutrition.com. I have links on the Strength and Speed website. It gives you 15% off your first order, or you can enter the referral number 240887. Also sponsored by Synergy Sports. If you know Rob Butler, the owner of Shale Hell, permanent OCR facility in Vermont that I used not only for OCR America, I've also done their 24-hour race called Shale Hell there about 2 years ago. They've got a 8-hour race coming up in February in the winter, snow OCR. It's kind of cool, called Polar Bear Challenge. So sponsored by Synergy Sports, so also check them out. They make some great climbing stuff too, especially if you're going to set up your home rig. I think that's about it. And Mud Run Guide, obviously, for letting me write for them and spread some of my knowledge for OCR. I think that's it, Brenna. I think we're pushing the high 40 minutes here, almost 50. So we'll call it a day, and we will see everyone next week. And that's it from Strength and Speed.
Peace out.